but I don't have toenail clippers. I've always used scissors. Even before money traumatized me, I've just always used scissors to cut my toenails. Not telling you to do it. Shut up. Okay, the moment that I've been dreading, the bathroom. I know it's really bad. Don't judge me. I have 10 side hustles. I don't always have time to clean.
Why do I still live this way? For one, it's because I feel like the frugal lifestyle is actually a very smart way to live, but it's also all I know. I've been living this way since I was 20. For all of my 20s, I had to live this way, and now I just choose to live this way. Now I just choose to live this way. Now I just choose to live this way. Now I just choose to live this way.
Hey guys, it's Briar and let's chat about it. For those of you who don't know, Bradley on a Budget is a very popular TikToker who went viral for sharing his story about getting into a lot of student loan debt and the extreme and frugal measures he has taken to get out of debt. And his no-nonsense attitude and extreme ideas have made him incredibly popular in this space. However, recently he posted some videos that made TikTok feel like he had just taken it way too far. They told him to stop being silly, to stop being ridiculous. You've gone too far. This is no longer frugal. It's just a little bit concerning. And well, if you can believe it, Bradley actually listened to this response. And that is exactly what I wanted to chat about with you guys today. Chat about Bradley on a Budget and his more recent content and the reaction that it caused from the audience challenging him to do better. I feel like some people may say it was almost like using bullying for good, but if you think that telling someone that they shouldn't reuse dental floss is bullying, well, I guess that's your prerogative. But yes, that is just a little bit of a snippet as to some of the advice that we are going to be yapping about today and why the internet had the reaction it did. So, if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick around and let's get into it. Now, a quick TLDR on Bradley on a Budget is he is a creator in his early 30s and he went viral for sharing his student loan story. As someone from a country where student loans don't have interest, this is crazy bananas to me, but I digress. It's not the point. So I just wanted to show you guys a couple of his earliest viral videos so you guys can get a vibe of who he is and his story and how he became viral and popular in the first place.
This is incredibly hard for me to talk about, and I am beyond embarrassed about it, but I guess it's time. So I have $147,000 of student loan debt, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I went to culinary school. I was 17 years old when I was choosing what school I should be going to, and I had no guidance from my parents. My parents do not know how to handle money, they don't know how to manage money, they're irresponsible, and they're very defeated people, so they're in the mindset of just go into debt because you'll never win with money anyways. So 17-year-old me, who had no idea what I was doing, really no guidance from my parents, I decided to go to the best of the best because I thought if I go to the best school and I work hard, I will then end up with a great life. And that was an absolute lie. So I decided to go to the Culinary Institute of America, and I racked up over $130,000 in student loan debt for a 3-year bachelor's degree.
And him telling the story was his first big viral moment, and you can totally understand why, especially when you think about the fact that this is quite a common and relatable scenario for a lot of people to find themselves in, especially in America. And so I'm sure you guys can understand why people related to him, because it is a story that people can relate to in many different extents, whether it's the finance side, whether it's the debt side, whether it's feeling like your degree wasn't worth it. There are so many aspects to the story that I think for a lot of people is relatable. And I think what a lot of people related to especially was the frankness in which he talked about his situation and how it can be very overwhelming to have that much debt, to try and figure out how to pay it, how to cope with it, and all of those things. So that was his first kind of big viral moment, and he really grew from there because his page became about sharing tips and sharing how he was living to get out of this debt. So I did want to show you guys a couple of examples of these earlier videos.
I always try to keep my electric bill as low as possible. So in the winter, I won't run the heat, and in the summer, I don't run the AC. I don't keep anything plugged in my apartment unless I need it in that moment. Like I keep the microwave unplugged until I need it. I do have to keep the fridge plugged in, but I keep it at the lowest setting where the food is just cold enough where it won't go bad, but it's not blasting cold where I'm wasting energy. Next is shopping. I really don't have a desire for new stuff ever. I still can fit into clothes from like 10 years ago. These are dress shoes that I have had, I think, since like 2014.
Clearly I ran them to the ground. I do have a new pair of dress shoes now because I had a Kohl's gift card. And then the last thing I can think about is just I rarely go out to eat for myself. I will sometimes go out to eat with friends just to be social. Of course, always looking for the cheapest thing to buy. But yeah, I 99% of the time cook all of my food at home for myself, and I tend to eat the same thing. My counselor tells me it's OCD, which I think makes sense now that I see it, because I feel like it helps me feel very in control of my finances. What we're not doing this year is being wasteful with our money. I cut the bullshit out. You deserve financial stability, you deserve peace of mind, and you have to stop with your bullshit habits. You're gonna have a budget, you're gonna learn what the word no means, live a frugal lifestyle below our means. We're gonna stop buying shit just because everyone else has it and we're trying to keep up with others because others don't give a fuck about you and your finances matter more than someone's opinion. We're gonna pay off our debt and we're not gonna be adding to our debt. Everything in that Amazon cart right now, delete! Get rid of it. You don't need it. All the choices you make this year are either going to make you or break you. Stop telling yourself you can't win. Stop telling yourself you can't do it. You're probably getting in your own fucking way and you're making bad choices.
And so as you can see, he has a very blunt approach, a very no nonsense, a very much no, you don't need it. And I think a lot of people found this content very helpful because it was very much like Maroon 5 wake up call. It was very much shaking you through the screen and saying you don't need it, and the long-term investment in your debt and your finances, etc., is more important than trends and all the overconsumption that you see online. And I think especially when you think about like the context of social media and TikTok, right, when you are scrolling and it feels like a lot of people are trying to sell to you and convince you that you need things. This is very much a Arctic Monkeys snap out of it. Snap out of it. Sorry for all the random music references. But anyway, you get what I mean. A lot of people find this content refreshing. Yes, it is a bit blunt. I do feel like this is important though, and to put a pin in how he presents his message, right? Because, you know, speak to others the way you would want them to speak to yourself. How you communicate, is that how you would want others to communicate to you? Just a curious cat asking questions, just putting those questions out there as we get into the situation. But as Bradley continued to post his tips, continued to post these types of videos, he grew a platform, he started to make money off of TikTok, he started to increase his income. And this is actually what led to some previous drama that he had, which Kiki Chanel did do a video on, which was he started to do brand deals with brands that he personally just would not have used, and in the past has explicitly kind of gone against using those things or recommended more affordable or free alternatives over them, including specifically Dash Pass, which to a lot of people felt like it was hypocritical because he promoted using, you know, public transport and not investing in subscriptions in different services because you don't need it, it's not worth it, you can do it for free. And so that was definitely his first kind of like a bigger drama on social media, and there definitely were a lot of people being like, yes, get your bag, like we need to pay off this debt somehow, engaging so that you can pay off your debt. And I think it was just really divisive because he was giving advice and then he was partnering with brands that went so directly against this advice. And I think that is just probably a tricky thing, right, about being an influencer when your whole message is that you don't need it, don't buy it, don't have a subscription. Like, I use my toothbrush until it has 3 bristles left. How can you give that advice and then also promote products like Dash Pass? So that is a little bit of a background on Bradley. I feel like another thing that is important to note is that he has been very open about not having health insurance, and I do feel like this also plays into the situation a lot. So I wanted to show you this video of him talking about why he doesn't have health insurance.
I haven't had health insurance for 6 years, which I know is concerning to a lot of you. I'm currently sick, if you couldn't tell, so I figured I would explain why I've opted out of health insurance the past few years. So in America, when you turn 26, you get kicked off of your parents' health insurance plan. My financial situation was really bad 6 years ago. Living in financial survival mode, I just couldn't accept that money being taken out of my paycheck every month for something that I may not have absolutely needed. When I felt like the money could have gone towards so many different things, like paying my bills, going towards my student loans, or even just trying to save. Even worse, when I would think about how much I would save over the year if I opted out of health insurance, it typically would save me about $1,800 to $1,900 over the year. And at that time, it felt much more important to have that to go towards bills and my debt. I'll be honest too, I rarely get sick. Typically I get sick maybe once a year at most. I attribute that to my frugal lifestyle because I cook all my food myself. And I know I'm really lucky that I haven't had to go see a doctor over the past 6 years. To be honest, anytime I get sick, I just load up on drinking hot water, just try to rehydrate my body, and it's always worked for me. I always figured if it ever got so bad that I had to go see a doctor, I could go to a walk-in clinic. It would still be much cheaper in the end than paying into health insurance for the whole year. And I don't condone other people to do this. I just have a bad relationship with money and struggle with putting money above myself.
And I think that last line is definitely very telling about the whole situation that we are building up to. I know I'm so good at building up suspense. It's definitely not me yapping. Guys, I'm laying down the groundwork. Keep up. But I do feel like one of these top comments is very poignant, and it says, "This betrays your entire savings strategy." And I think that's another idea that I want to put a pin in, is this kind of conflicting behavior that Bradley seems to partake in, where he doesn't invest in long-term things or see how investing this much money could save you so much more money in the long term. And I think that that's important to point out because, again, I'm not American, but from what I understand, the amount of debt that he is in, you can get in that much medical debt, and it wouldn't even be from, particularly getting sick, which is something that can also happen, but it can also happen from an accident or if you injure yourself. There are so many reasons that could happen, and none of them are predictable, right? No one can predict that these things are going to happen. Otherwise they would, people would just have insurance if they knew it was going to happen. But it's really strange, but also interesting to me that he is so overwhelmed and consumed by his student loan debts and doesn't see how if he ended up in medical debt, he would feel the exact same way, because it is something that is avoidable. And if you have financial literacy and you invest in health insurance, you can avoid getting in that type of a situation. But what do I know? I'm not American. That's just my kind of read on the situation. But again, I think it's just another example of how he doesn't invest in these everyday things to help things that are in the long run, whether it be using a toothbrush till the very bitter and brutal end. And then, in one of his monthly updates, he said that he needed 4 fillings. And it's like, would that have been totally avoidable? Who knows? But probably using a proper toothbrush that is a good quality toothbrush that can brush your teeth would help to minimize that, as probably not reusing floss. But am I crazy for saying that? And I just feel like there are a lot of examples like this where not investing in these everyday things in his everyday health and his everyday habits in health insurance, there is this disconnect in how that can impact you in the long run and why it would be important to do so. But anyway, I now wanted to show you guys kind of how his content has progressed and kind of where he is now and how we ended up getting this content that caused the big whoa shablam reaction. So let's watch a couple of his more recent videos.
These are some ways I avoid overconsumption as someone who loves the environment and thinks wasting your money is stupid. First one might be controversial, but I just don't like to throw out things. Even if things are imperfect or not in the best condition, they still serve their purpose, and that's what matters most to me. One of the easiest ways to save money is to not constantly be replacing things. I've had this backpack since high school, and even though it's in bad condition, it still is very helpful when I travel. Instead of buying things, I try to use things I already have, so my curtains are actually bed sheets that I tied together. I use paper bags that friends and family hold on for me, because why throw them out when you have them and you could find use for them? I've never had to buy a notebook because I use the envelopes from junk mail. Another way I underconsume is I don't use the full product. Like sponges, I'll cut in half so you get more life out of them. Paper towels, I'll just use a small bit when I'm cleaning. Even tissues, I feel like tissues are too big, so I just use a small portion. I was able to furnish most of my apartment for free. I was able to get this college dorm mattress and the bed frame for free. Someone I dog sit for was going to throw out this beautiful old KitchenAid, and I said, no, don't worry, I will take that off your hands, and it's been very helpful. Didn't have a chair until my workplace was giving these away. Instead of them throwing it away, I gladly took it. I also only like to have one of most things. One spatula, one cutting board, one cup. I only have one water bottle. I don't understand how people have like 20. I've had this one plate since I was in college because it's still in good condition and gets the job done. I also refuse to upgrade my phone every year with a new one coming out. I feel like they're basically all the same at this point. Any new technology in general, I'm just not interested in it. I'm happy with all the things I have. I also drive a very tiny car because it's just me and it feels very practical. Don't need a car with 5 seats and a huge trunk. It's just me. I don't understand why most people drive such big cars when they don't need half the space. Skincare routine is very minimal and simple. Even when I shower, I have soap and shampoo, nothing else. I refuse to do any online shopping, and I do not order takeout or go out to eat just because not only it helps save money, but I feel like it produces so much waste. When I see people reviewing fast food and all the plastic containers that comes with it, it just makes me so sad. I hate it. Most of my work clothes are the same clothes that I wore in college. Yes, even though I went to culinary school, we still had normal classes. I just don't care about clothes or their imperfections that they may have. As long as they serve their purpose, they're getting the job done, and I don't need to replace them and buy more.
And I think this top comment is very interesting on this video, where it says you don't avoid overconsumption, you avoid consumption. And I think that is a really good reflection of like the line that Bradley toed, of going from you don't need to buy things in excess, you don't need to buy a new drink bottle if you have a perfectly good working one, you already have a jacket, you already have these things, and then just like not replacing or even like seemingly fixing things when they're very worn down. I think personally, to me, one of the things that definitely stands out is like the shoes, because you, again, by wearing shoes that have no support can cause injuries, especially if they're like gym shoes and you're working out. That would then result in bigger spending in the long run because you've injured yourself wearing shoes that have absolutely no traction, no tread, holes in them. But I do think that this video is important to watch to get a very accurate reflection of how he lives and the tips that he is giving his audience. And now, are we happy with the groundwork that I have laid out? Is it nice? Did we have a good time? I hope so, because we are now going to watch the videos that really cause this final straw reaction, really cause people to be like, Bradley, these are not finance and helping tips. These are too far. This is unhygienic. This is unhelpful. You need a Maroon 5 wake-up call. You need a little bit of feedback, a little bit of gentle parenting to say, hey, we can do better. So let's watch those videos now. The first one being an underconsumption life hacks video.
Frugal and will find any way to save money. So these are all the things society would tell you you need that I think as someone who's frugal, you don't. I don't buy screen protectors. Anytime I've bought a new phone, I keep the factory wrapping on the screen, but as you could see, it got really bad. Instead of buying a screen protector, I just use Packers tape. I did this years ago when I shattered my phone screen and it worked very well. Okay, I can admit this next one may be gross, but I don't have toenail clippers. I've always used scissors. Even before money traumatized me, I've just always used scissors to cut my toenails. Not telling you to do it. Shut up. I can't believe people buy water bottles. That is so insane to me. So expensive and it's very wasteful. Get a water filter and a reusable bottle and call it a day.
Not to brag, but in New Zealand we can drink water from the tap. Sorry, I know I'm flexing my tap water on everybody, but yeah, you can just drink water straight from the tap. Yep, it's true. You won't get sick. That's crazy, I know. But yeah, the scissors for the toenails is kind of, I think, a perfect example. And the phone screen thing, right? Like, those things are not that expensive. I think the phone screen that I have is $6 to $8, not $68, $6 to $8. And like a pair of little nails clippers, couple doll hairs. You could definitely fit those types of things into a budget if you had like $20-ish a month of like personal things that you need, things to replace, things to upgrade, little things like that. That's not overconsumption. It's just like investing in your general health, in the longevity of your phone, things like that. Let's continue.
So I'm a believer you don't need most kitchen products. Ever since I moved into my apartment, I never got a strainer. Just strain the water using the lid from the pot. That one time I made my frugal pizza and I don't have a rolling pin, so I just use a drinking glass. Having a tool for every little thing just seems kind of weird to me.
And I will agree, you can actually learn how to stretch pizza dough by hand. I know how to do it and I'm a dummy. So, I think that is also helpful. Like, you don't need all these gadgets to make something, right? That's literally one of the ways you can use the little hole on the pot lid so you can strain out the water. So yeah, fair. Like, there are some helpful hints and helpful tips amongst the message.
Ever since moving into my apartment 6 years ago, I've never bought trash bags. Literally, my trash bag this week is a fast food bag. My coworker who got lunch. I have a friend who gets grocery delivery. She keeps the paper bags for me. This one may be weird, but instead of buying a sleeping mask, I just put a t-shirt over my eyes. When you've lived in financial survival mode for so many years, brain will find crazy ways to save money. So you don't need to buy coasters. You could either use junk mail. For me, I eat a lot of graham crackers. I just cut a little piece of the box off and voila, you have a coaster. I don't believe in travel cosmetic bags. Pretty sure I was was given food in this plastic bag a few years ago. I cleaned it out, and ever since, this has been my little travel bag. Speaking of travel stuff, don't spend a lot of money on travel-sized things. Just utilize your resources. I've used this little bottle for many years, gone through the airport with it. It's never been a problem. It gets the job done, and I don't have to spend money. Also, never bought curtains because I had this extra set of twin bed sheets. I just used a little safety pin to create a loop. I got the job done without me having to go buy something. And honestly, I kind of like the look of them, and I just never covered up my other windows. I'll definitely never buy gift bags because I always hold on to any gift bags that I get, because why throw it out when you could repurpose it?
So that was the first of what I've now decided to call the trilogy of causing this reaction online, where it seems like over time, the tips that Bradley has given has kind of like escalated beyond money saving hacks and the mentality of like, you don't need to buy all this trendy overconsumption garbage into, but what if you used your skizzers to chop your toenails? Anyway, let's move on to the second video in the trilogy called Frugal Cleaning Tips.
Okay, my apartment is disgusting. Haven't cleaned it in a while because I'm always very busy. I'm saving the bathroom for last because it's bad. Clean my apartment with me as someone who's frugal. Maybe I'll teach you something. Let's start with the dishes. I always cut my sponge in half because then you get double the use out of it. When it comes to saving money, you gotta get creative. No, I'm not throwing it out until every little scrubby bit falls off of it, okay? So shut up. Okay, next, let's do the floors. No, you don't need fancy cleaning supplies. I've literally had the same vacuum, the same broom, same everything since I moved into my apartment 5 years ago. I've never replaced the filter. I just always wash it. I also don't have a ton of cleaning products. I do have this spray concoction. Think it works. I got a good deal on this cleaning solution like a year ago. Add a little bleach and water to it and voila. Usually spray that all over and it gets the job done. Clearly I haven't cleaned in a while because my floors are disgusting. Instead of throwing the Swiffer head out, I just rinse it, clean off the dirt, and then I just hang it up to dry to use next time. Because I don't use my air conditioning in the summer, I forget it's there, so it gets very dirty. Basically, it's a wall decoration to hold my plant at this point. Don't buy paper towels. I kind of just hoard them. Don't throw them out after I dry my hands off, which is why I have the stack that I do. Oh my god, I broke it. That's not good. I'm not getting my security deposit back. Okay, the moment that I've been dreading, the bathroom. I know it's really bad. Don't judge me. I have 10 side hustles. I don't always have time to clean. Instead of using a ton of paper towels, I just use my hands to do the pre-clean, spray my solution, and I use dish soap. I believe you don't need a ton of cleaning products. The dish soap honestly gets so much done. Please don't judge me for the tub. I know it's bad. For some reason, I just hate cleaning the tub. Same thing for the toilet. I spray my little mixture and I use dish soap, have my little scrubby, and I go to town. Most of it came off, so I scrub it and I let it soak for a little bit. No, you don't need a fancy scrubber for your toilet. Literally rest mine on my trash bin. I don't know why. I just hate cleaning the bathroom, but I would like to say it's looking back to pretty good condition. That's how I clean my apartment, as someone not being wasteful and trying to save my money. I love you. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, so that's the second video, and one thing I do want to highlight is how when Bradley gives advice, there is no nonsense, there is no excuses. But then when it comes to his cleaning, it was immediately, don't judge me, I have 10 side hustles. Like, the point of this is definitely not to make people feel bad when their houses get messy and dirty, but it is important to say, hey, you're an adult. It's important for you to look after your space. It's important for your health to look after your space. And letting it get to this point only makes it so much harder to clean. But anyway, let's move on to the final video in the trilogy, which is called The Frugal Shower Routine. And by the way, all of these videos have millions of views. Strap yourselves in for this one, okay? Because this first sentence is going to get you shivering in your timbers.
It's time for my weekly shower. So this is my shower routine as someone who's frugal, who loves to save money, but also avoids overconsumption because I refuse to live a life like this at all cost. I have a busy morning ahead, so I just meal prepped my lunch for work. Now it's time for me to shower. This is my cute little bathroom. So simple and outdated. I love it. First thing I have to do is take the trash bags out of the shower, do dumpster dive for bottles and cans to make extra money. But my apartment is small and I have nowhere to put the trash bags, so I decided to start putting them in the shower. I'm gonna be crucified for this one, but these are the only 2 towels that I've owned ever since I moved into my apartment almost 6 years ago. Fortunately, my yellow towel had a freak accident and now it's all shredded up, but I stapled it back together. It's my emotional support towel, okay? So shut up! Even though I have a floor rug, I use a towel just to soak up any water. Shower's basically empty. The only 2 things I have are shampoo and a bar of soap. Truly don't think anything else is necessary, and I also don't ever buy soap. I have a family member who travels a lot for work. They stay in a lot of hotels, and I said, can you grab the bars of soap when you travel? I do doing that, I've never had to buy soap. And I have this thing for my lotion bottle just because my drains sometimes get clogged, so I just use that. Make sure I open the window for ventilation. I don't run the actual vent just to save money on the electric bill. Before I hop in, I find some music to listen to. My latest obsession is Vodka Cranberry by Conan Gray. Go stream. Because I rent, I don't have to pay for water, but using hot water raises the electric bill. I'll limit my showers to about 2 songs, and after 2 songs, I know it's time to wrap up, which is about a 7 to 8 minute shower, which isn't too bad. Then I just do my morning usuals like brushing my teeth, put on lotion and sunscreen, then I get ready and head out to work. I'm not telling people this has to be your shower routine to save money, but this is my routine and this is how I'm happy living my life, while also not giving in to overconsumption. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, you heard that right. Weekly. Shower routine. But like, okay, so you don't have health insurance, a choice, but then we're not even investing in our health and our hygiene to the point where we're not even having a daily shower. We're not cleaning ourselves and looking after our hygiene to, stay healthy. And the comments are as gooped and gagged as I'm sure you all are. Reusing floss is insane. I can understand you need to save money, but cleanliness and sanitary conditions are not healthy. Weekly as in ... once a week. If I found out a person I was dating was reusing floss, showering once a week, and too frugal to replace a towel, I wouldn't date them respectfully. This is disgusting and goes beyond frugal. Frugal does not mean you're not allowed to clean, honey, cry face. He actually replied to that one saying, I do clean, but I'm also extremely busy with my side hustle, so sometimes it does fall bottom on to-do list because I have so much I'm juggling. And it really goes on like this has to be rage bait. We've got a little bit of clarity on how much he showers, but I'm a little worried. So someone says, Bradley ... I fear I cannot defend the showering once a week ... He says, it was a joke, haha. I was jabbing at the people who always say I look dirty, so just getting back at them. Wink face. I don't shower every day, but more than once a week. Don't worry, guys. So don't worry, guys. He doesn't shower every day, but more than once a week. I'm pretty sure he also has a gym membership, so could literally shower every day at the gym. A lot of people just all of a sudden felt like, okay, this is no longer about saving money. This is no longer about being frugal. This is unhealthy and unhygienic, and also perpetuates like a bad and negative and untrue stereotype that if you are on a budget or you're being frugal or you're trying to save money, that you are unclean, untidy, and you don't have good hygiene. And that is just not true and does not have to be the case. And I feel like especially when you are in a stressful money situation, when you're trying to save a lot of money, when you're not treating yourself in those other ways monetarily, you should definitely be looking after yourself and your space so that where you live is nice and so that you look after yourself and your body. And I think a lot of people were kind of wondering, like, is this the result of, he's kind of worked through all the good tips? Are we now just leaning into the rage bait? Are we now just grabbing at straws to get a reaction, to get engagement? Because as we know, this is a way that he makes money. So have we kind of forgotten the original message and the original point of helping people save money? And we've kind of fallen into the situation of rage baiting people. As he admitted, the initial intro was to, have a jab. So it is to get engagement, and it's no longer so much about quality and good and helpful tips, and also just like looking after yourself in ways that don't cost money when you are in such a situation. And so as I'm sure you can imagine, that this definitely caused quite the reactions. So let's watch a couple of people's reactions to those videos, to people feeling like this has gone over the line, and to opening up this discourse of, hey, you can be frugal, you can want to save money, but that doesn't mean we don't look after ourselves, we don't look after our spaces, and we don't partake in basic hygiene.
Someone who loves the environment and thinks wasting your money is stupid.
Yeah, me too.
I've been dreading the bathroom. I know it's really bad. Don't judge me. I have 10 side hustles. I don't always have time to clean. Instead of
Maybe, no, not the same.
my paper towels, I kind of just hoard them. Don't throw them out after I dry my hands off, which is why I have this.
So you can buy towels.
They're the only 2 towels that I've owned ever since I moved into my apartment almost 6 years ago. Fortunately,
They also sell them like if you go to the thrift store, like in the back, you can go all the way to the back. They have them hanging up so they can like air out, and you should wash them.
Unfortunately, my yellow towel had a freak accident and now it's all shredded up, but I stapled it back together. It's my emotional support towel.
I think we have different definitions. We've lost the plot here. Yes, we've lost the plot. Oh,
My floors are disgusting. Instead of throwing the Swiffer head out, I just rinse it, clean off the dirt, and then I just hang it up to dry to use next time.
You can also buy a mop. You can buy a mop. You can rewash a mop. We have a mop.
And I see so many comments saying being frugal isn't about being dirty. I know that, and that's definitely not my goal. I always find myself struggling to prioritize cleaning as much as
It shouldn't be this hard to clean. I blame your parents. This is why giving your kids chores is so important. Because cleaning is not fun, but it's not this bad, okay? So I think I'm just gonna go make a chore list.
And I think she raised a lot of more helpful solutions, including getting a mop, buying towels from the thrift store. He could even reuse the towel that he broke. Like, he could cut it and turn it into a bath mat, or he could make it smaller and use it into like a reusable towel for after washing your hands. Like, there are other ways that you can use it and it not being stapling it back together. But I think she also highlights the fact that when you let it get this bad and you're not on top of it, it feels that big and it feels overwhelming. And it's like, yeah, you don't have a few hours to clean, but if you just spent 10 minutes every day, you wouldn't have to get to this point. You can just do little things at a time. Clean up after yourself, clean up after you go, clean the shower after the weekly shower routine. I don't know, it could be a crazy idea. But anyway, let's move on to the next reaction, which was definitely the most viral, and I feel like it was definitely the biggest domino to fall.
This is a message for Bradley on the budget. If you're not Bradley on the budget, you can keep scrolling. Okay, Bradley, let's talk. Why? I understand you're on a budget. You don't want to overconsume. You're not trying to spend a lot of money. Does that mean you cannot clean your apartment? Does that mean you cannot clean your apartment? Baking soda is very cheap, very affordable. Same thing with vinegar. At bare minimum, you could use those two things to clean with. Why are you not cleaning? I don't care if you have to collect rainwater from the sky to rinse all of that down. Please do it. Or go to a lake or a river or something if you don't want to use your water. But why are you not cleaning your apartment? What? That's a whole different ball game. You can use the same towel you've been using for the past 20 years, but why are you not cleaning your apartment? But there's a lot of people in the comments thinking that I'm harsh for telling him to clean his apartment. Like, what the fuck is that? He doesn't need to clean his apartment. He has the time. He has the money. I know he has like 40,000 different side gigs and this, that, and the other, but if he has time to post a video, edit the video, he has time to clean up after himself in his apartment. He's the only person living in that apartment. He has time to clean up after himself. We have to stop making excuses for grown adults of why they can and cannot do something. I know he probably deals with trauma and depression and other things, but sometimes you just have to pick yourself up and you have to do these fucking things. I've dealt with depression. I've dealt with trauma, but I'm still cleaning up after myself.
And I think his reaction encapsulated so many people's reactions in that comment section. And it's because it's gone over the line of like, I'm being frugal, I'm saving money, to just not looking after yourself, your space, your hygiene, etc., etc. And I think that this conversation in general is definitely interesting because in the past, a lot of people have felt like maybe they can't criticize Bradley on a budget because he was speaking up for people in a real crisis financial situation, in that situation where you need to scrimp and scramble every penny because it makes a difference, because it matters. And I think in the past, criticizing Bradley on a budget has seemed like you are criticizing those people or that you are diminishing people's very serious financial struggles. Whereas now, this conversation, it's not even really about the financial situation. It's not even really about him being frugal. It's about being frugal has been combined with being unhygienic, has been combined with not cleaning up your space, has been combined with all of these other negative stereotypes that aren't true to being frugal and that aren't helpful and that isn't providing helpful information. And so initially, I do think that Bradley was quite defensive about the situation. He kind of posted one of those, clap backy type of videos, and, in the comment section, he was defending or using using the excuse of having all these side hustles and being very busy that he is too busy to clean. But I think eventually, because the conversation became so loud and because so many people were pushing back on the fact that this isn't about being frugal, this is about cleanliness, this is about looking after your health, especially for someone that doesn't have health insurance, that whether or not they mean to are promoting to not have health insurance and is not even doing everyday steps to look after yourself and minimize your risk of needing to spend more money in the future because something bad may happen to your health. So he did eventually post this video, which is a deep clean my apartment with me video.
Embarrassed to post this video, but this is currently the state of my apartment. Let's deep clean my apartment together and talk about being human and sometimes struggling to keep it all together. It's 8 in the morning and I vowed to myself, instead of doing a million things, I'm going to clean my apartment before I go to work. I posted a frugal cleaning video a couple weeks ago and the internet exploded. While I do a deep clean of my apartment, let me tell you my side of the story and let's chat a little bit. Most people probably know I am unbelievably busy. I have an office job. I typically put hours into my social media every day. If that's not enough, I have 8 side hustles. You could probably imagine almost every day of my life is insane. This isn't me complaining. I'm literally living the dream. But yeah, and my mom donated some cleaning supplies. She was cleaning out her cabinet and I was like, no, don't throw those out. Maybe on the older side, but something's better than nothing, right? Anyways, most days I'm hustling and completely exhausted by the end of the day. I'm typically up until midnight editing my content. I wake up early, I go to work and repeat. By the way, is this mold? I don't know if this is mold, but it looks like it. Not good, I know. With my student loan situation and what I went through financially, I always focus on money before anything else. In times like this, when my apartment looks like this, it catches up to me. So many side hustles, there's literally something I could always be doing at any time. On my long to-do list, cleaning gets pushed all the way to the bottom. And I see so many comments saying being frugal isn't about being dirty. I know that, and that's definitely not my goal. I always find myself struggling to prioritize cleaning as much as I am working and making money. For those who voice genuine concern, I really do appreciate it, but there also were some people just being so nasty. I'm just doing the best I can, juggling all of this and trying to make a better life for myself. Kitchen took way longer than I expected. Stay tuned because next is the bathroom and we know that's bad. I love you guys. Thanks for watching.
And the top comment is literally, that dude made him clean his apartment and peer pressure and shaming works. Buying dental floss, a new toothbrush and cleaning supplies is not overconsumption. A clean space will do more for your mental health than making money. That is just another example of this mismatch in mentality of not seeing the value in looking after your space, of not seeing the value in investing in these small things that can help save money in the long run, in investing a little bit of time to clean so that you're not overwhelmed by the cleaning situation. And also equally how he does want to be given a lot of grace for why he behaves in certain ways, but interestingly when he gives advice he's very blunt, no nonsense. And like if you compared Rusty's video who was saying clean your apartment versus some of the videos we've seen where Bradley is saying you don't need that, don't buy it, like the way that things were communicated, Rusty was definitely, in my opinion anyway, a lot calmer. And that's not to negate that no one was being mean and no one was taking it too far. A lot of people were trying to just challenge these beliefs and challenge these behaviors because at the end of the sleigh, like, yeah, we're just silly goofy goobers wandering around the planet, but we also are adults and we also have to be responsible and we also have to learn how to prioritize these things, how to make time for these things, even though we don't want to. Like some people, yes, I know they love to clean and that's how they kind of decompress. There's actually a Kiwi TikToker, her name's Britt Cunningham, and she loves cleaning. It's like her me time and that's like her content is a lot around it. But a lot of people just see you have to clean, so you do it. In the same way that he's like, you might not like cooking at home, but you should do it so that you save money. I think he could challenge himself to apply his mentalities to other situations. And I do think that that is what a lot of people were trying to do, is challenging these beliefs and showing him that he can be more in control, that he can take more control, and that he should be more responsible. So because Rusty's video went so viral and a lot of people were like, hey, I think you're the reason Bradley is cleaning, he did make some response videos.
Look, I'm not saying my video influenced Bradley to clean his apartment, but it did come a couple days after I posted that video. But I know other people have commented on it too. It wasn't just me, so I'm not going to take all of the credit. But okay, Bradley, now that you have cleaned your apartment, just upkeep, babes. Like, if you, clean up after yourself as you're moving along, it will never get to the point of where it was. We are all busy. We all do a lot of things throughout the day, but even scheduling 30 minutes at the most, the cleanup after yourself will do a world of wonder. But if you like clean up after yourself after you're doing tasks, it will never get to that point. It's still good to deep clean every once in a while, but not doing it at all, saying you're just too busy or too tired, is not really an excuse. And for the people that are commenting about mental health, we all go through mental health issues in some way, shape, or form. Some are more serious than others, but we can't solely use that as an excuse not to clean up after ourselves. But yeah, good on you for cleaning. Keep it up.
And I think, again, Rusty's response is very reasonable. He's not trying to make him feel bad for getting to that state, but instead challenging him to not let it get that bad and to start having new habits. Okay, now you've cleaned something really well. This is the perfect time to implement new habits. And I think that that is a very good point to note, that there obviously is a lot of bigger underlying reasons, and specifically mental health reasons, as to why Bradley behaves the way that he does. But I don't think people challenging him to improve the quality of his living space and his hygiene is people trying to make him feel bad for his mental health or for the reasoning behind the way that he is the way he is. And so after those initial videos and Rusty posting his response videos, Bradley then posted another response video talking about the situation further. Don't take a shot for every time I say response, okay? Don't do it.
Taste test with these cupcakes and also address some concerns with my extreme frugal lifestyle. They smell so good. I'm so excited. I didn't buy these cupcakes, and I also didn't buy a house. I'm dog sitting, and the owners were so nice to leave cupcakes for me. I need to shave after this. So I don't know if you're like this, but when I was a kid, I would always go for the thing that I wanted least, and I would work up to the thing that I wanted the most. This is probably the one I want the least, so I'll start with that. What I wish so many people realized is in my 20s, I had no quality of life. Being in $130,000 of debt at 20 years old, my degree was making me $12 an hour. It's filled, oh my God. Maybe I will like this more than I thought. The only thing I cared about in my 20s was money. And not in a shallow way, but in a, oh my God, I'm in such a bad financial situation and I'm just trying to survive. Stop. Oh my God, it's so good. In my opinion, there was no such thing as having a quality life when I was in that much debt at such a young age. That's where my lifestyle kind of developed, where I was like, I don't care how I'm living, I need to do whatever I can to save money.
And I think the thing that is really interesting with him opening in this manner is that, as I said, with the groundwork that I laid out, the reason he went viral is because he shared his story. So a lot of people actually do have the understanding as to why Bradley is the way that he is. And I do think that's why he gets a lot of grace and empathy from people, because he shared his story and because people know him for his story and people understand why he behaves in the way that he does. And equally also, I don't think people do need to understand that for it to be valid for them to be like, hey, have a shower every day.
Instead of buying winter boots because I wanted to save money, I had a pair of old high tops, but they had holes in the sole of the shoe. When it would snow, I would wear my high tops walking to the subway. They did the best that they could, but sometimes my socks would get wet. This one filled with anything? No, but I'm still excited. It was good. I also had a lower back injury, but I couldn't afford the surgery and I couldn't afford to miss work. Was on my feet 10 hours a day lifting heavy mixing bowls with a lower back injury, and there was nothing I can do about it. I also had a huge $850 student loan payment every month, and I literally could not afford to not work. I basically lived like that from 20 to 27. Things started to get better at 28 and I started to increase my income. I got into a different career. I started to build my side hustles. Imagine every day of your life for 7 years, you're in survival mode. You're desperate for money. You'll do anything it takes to save money. Our brains are not fully developed until our mid to late 20s. So imagine the worst thing you are going through while trying to survive every day for years is also while your brain is still developing. I think this is Red Velvet and I'm so excited. I can't tell, but it's so freaking good. I feel like living my lifestyle and not constantly treating myself, not constantly spending money and buying things, that I can enjoy a moment like this of being treated to cupcakes because I don't normally do something like this for myself. I feel like my lifestyle makes me appreciate my life and things in my life more. I was in therapy and it was helpful at the time for what I was going through.
And I definitely think that these reasons and Bradley's story is why people have had so much pushback in the past for criticizing some of the things that he does and recommend, because he is representing people that are in such a serious and dire situation that you're completely like diminishing that struggle and you're not understanding it. Where in reality, in this situation, people are not asking him to spend money he doesn't have or live beyond his means or even live in his means. He still lives incredibly under his means. It's just now pushing him and challenging him to have a higher standard for that.
There were more things that I was going through than just the student loan debt. My main focus in therapy at that time wasn't always just about the money. It was about other things I was facing too. Oh my God. This is so good. I guess a lot of people are confused because they see the version of who I am now where I've increased my income. I'm in a much better place mentally and financially. So why do I still live this way? For one, it's because I feel like the frugal lifestyle is actually a very smart way to live, but it's also all I know. I've been living this way since I was 20. For all of my 20s, I had to live this way, and now I just choose to live this way. I don't know which one I want to leave for last. I can't tell which one this is.
And I just think that logic is very interesting because I don't think anyone is suggesting he become like an overconsumption core influencer and have like a million Labubus and Stanley cups. I think instead what most people are challenging him to do is have a shower every day, buy a new toothbrush after a couple months, spend a couple of dollars on a new towel, invest in health insurance. And these things are now all well within his means and do not go against a minimalist mindset or lifestyle.
I think I'm gonna go with the strawberry next. I just don't feel like I deserve the criticism or the nasty hate that I get. I'm not harming anyone. If anything, I get a ton of comments and messages of people being like, because of your content, I've been able to pay off debt. I'm finally able to save money. Some people say they've been able to buy a house because they've changed their mindset from watching my videos. It has a filling. Oh my God. For people who actually get it, it's about watching my videos and taking away from it what works for you. I'm not telling you you have to eat the same meal every day, but the message is stop going out to eat. You're wasting so much money. Start cooking your food at home. I never said you have to have 2 towels or holes in your shoes, but what I'm saying is maybe look at what you have and realize it's enough. I think it's filled with caramel. Okay, let's see. Yum! These aren't going to waste, don't worry. I'm going over to my parents tomorrow, so I'm going to bring them with me. I can totally acknowledge my lifestyle is extreme, even though I'm happy living this way. But I wish people realized like an extreme financial situation requires an extreme solution. And I've done everything I could to turn my situation around, and thankfully it worked out. And now I'm just happy living this way, which I think is really hard for a lot of people to accept, that you can be frugal, you can have discipline, you can save money and be happy. And I guess that's it. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.
And I think the phrase deserve is very interesting, as if he feels like this is an attack or hate on him. And I'm not saying he doesn't get those things, but in the same way that he is giving blunt and honest advice to his followers to change their lives, that is what most people in this situation are trying to do. They're not trying to be mean or be hateful. They're trying to give back honest and needed advice to help him improve his quality of life. And that's not mean or hateful. And if you think about if that advice was coming from a friend or someone you trusted, it would be strange to say, oh, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this. Like, I can't believe you don't understand that I'm happy living this way, when your friend is just saying, hey, now that you're not in survival mode, you can look after yourself a bit better and it not be about buying things or over consuming or spending money. It's just about investing in your health and yourself and your time. And I don't want this next point to derail the situation too much, but he has talked about how he doesn't understand what he did to be single, or he doesn't understand why he can't find somebody. And I think a lot of people in these comments do give him feedback. If I went over to someone's house and I saw this, or if I found out that the person I was dating had only had a shower once a week or didn't look after their space, like that would be a deal breaker for me too. So I think a lot of people are actually trying to give him this advice because he wants to find a partner, he wants to share his life, he wants to keep improving these things, and maybe doesn't see how these are a barrier. And I think that also does just lead into the fact that he is not in survival mode anymore. He has posted a lot of videos saying how he has hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings. So to suggest that he spends $5 on a new towel or a couple of dollars on a new toothbrush is not outrageous is not outside of his means. And just so you guys can understand the amount of money that he is making, I wanted to show you his monthly income video, just so you can understand the scale of how much money he is earning now and why that would lead people to challenge him to move out of this frugal survival mode mentality and into a sustainable and more minimal mentality.
Workaholic and will basically do anything to make money, so welcome to my monthly income video where I will show you, as someone who's obsessed with working, my 10 side hustles and how much money I made from each one in the month of June. Starting with the biggest income stream, it's content creating. I made $8,438. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I could ever even make $1 from social media, and it is all because of you guys. I love my budget baddies to the moon and back. You guys mean the absolute world to me, and content creators are nothing without the people supporting them, so I love you guys so much. My next biggest income stream, no pun intended, is that website where I post wholesome content. If you know, you know. If you don't, please don't ask. From subscriptions and custom requests, I made $3,594. Oh yes, we are in the top 5%. Thank you to everyone supporting me on there. It means so much to me. In my life off of the phone screen, I am a financial coach. I'm working in between part-time and full-time right now. I love what I do and I'm so grateful for my job, and I will always advocate to appreciate your office job. I have a CD and I made $833. Unfortunately, after 17 months, it has come to an end. I will miss my CD so much. I am also a pet sitter. I had 3 dog sits in the month of June. Between the pay and the tips, I made $485. And if you live in Connecticut and need a pet sitter anytime soon, message me. I'm also a crisis counselor. Yes, I'm truly a jack of all trades. I took 5 shifts in the month of June and I made $417. I also mow lawns in the summertime. I have 2 people who I help throughout the month, and between those 2, I made $160. I also have a brand collaboration with Trusted House Sitters, which is how I stay for free in places I travel in exchange for offering pet care. It's the coolest thing. I'm actually using them this weekend, so you could use the link in my bio to sign up for a free account and support my page. I'm also a dancer at a nightclub. It really never ends. Never said I was a good dancer, but I danced one night in the month of June and I made $141. I'm also a house cleaner for someone who I used to work with. You could use the help a couple times throughout the month, and I made $120 helping her. It doesn't end there. I'm also a dumpster diver for bottles and cans, and I return them to make money. Where you live, you get 10 cents per item, so it adds up pretty quick, and I'm doing a good thing for the environment. Finally, I sold a pair of shoes that I bought for my sister's wedding, but brown is not my color, so I got rid of them. All of my side hustles combined in the month of June, I made $16,430, which is insane. Most people, I know this is unrealistic, but 5 years ago, I had one job making $16 an hour. So keep working hard and don't give up. I love you.
And I show that video because I feel like it provides so much important context as to why the audience is reacting to Bradley in this way. It's not because they're trying to be mean or because they don't think his tips are helpful for some people or they don't think there is any value in what he's saying, but because he is no longer in the survival mode, he is actually in a place where he can transition out of not buying a new toothbrush and reusing dental floss and move into the next stage of life where you're no longer in survival mode and you're making these long-term healthy spending habits and long-term good financial habits so that you don't have to get back into that situation. If you think about his content and the purpose of his content, this would be helpful for a lot of those people because the goal for them as well is to get out of that survival mode and to be in a better financial place. And again, it just seems like he doesn't see any value in those little investments. Literally, one of his side hustles is cleaning. So he does know how to clean. He can clean and he will do it for others. So you should value yourself and your space enough to do it for yourself. And I think as well, what this conversation really showed was that there are actually more helpful and creative solutions than the ones that Bradley is giving, because people have shown that you don't actually have to staple your towel because your towel broke. And I wanted to show you guys this one video as just an example of people showing that there are more helpful and creative options and tips for people that are in these financial situations but need things like a towel or a toothbrush.
Bradley, I hope it's a Kohl's near you. I hope so, because you can go get you a free towel. Free. Bradley on the budget. I don't know if you will see this video or not, or somebody can get it to you. Kohl's is giving away free Kohl's Cash. Yes, free Kohl's Cash. I went in there this morning and I got a $5 free Kohl's Cash, right? I got this towel right here, Bradley. This towel, $4.99. $4.99 for this towel, right? Bradley, you see that total? $0.00. $0.00. Go get you a towel, Bradley. It's free. I hope it's a Kohl's near you. Bradley, I'm telling you, I paid nothing. And for anybody else, y'all better go to Kohl's because they're giving out free Kohl's cash all weekend.
And I think that's just one example of how there are better tips than stapling your towel back together or waiting until you see the dentist again to get a free toothbrush. I think, and it almost feels like Bradley has lost that kind of problem solving mentality and trying to find other solutions and other ways to upgrade and improve the things and just invest in those small things that do make a difference in your life, and instead has focused on this extremeness and this frugalness and this wanting to use things until they are literally disintegrating in your hands, when in reality for a lot of people, when they are financially struggling and when they are going through hard times, having small things like a toothbrush that works, like a towel that doesn't have staples in that, is actually really important and is actually investing in yourself in those little ways to say that you are worth looking after yourself. Not to say that you need a bajillion Stanley cups or Labubus or a cupboard full of skincare or a new iPhone just because they release one every year. It's saying to people that don't have money and that are really struggling with money, just because you can't monetarily invest in yourself doesn't mean you're not worth investing in, doesn't mean you don't deserve to have these small things that help your health, that look after your health, that look after you in your everyday life. And I think oftentimes those small things can really give you that sense of humanity when you are so stressed and when you feel like you are out of control. And for the most part, I just don't think that people are trying to devalue Bradley's message, but instead challenge those limitations and challenge the fact that you can't look after yourself and invest in yourself when you are saving money, and that you can prioritize yourself in other ways, in the way that you look after your space and in the way that you look after yourself. And that is really the limitations to the advice that Bradley gives, and especially now that he is making enough money where he can have health insurance, where he can buy a new toothbrush every season as per dentist recommendations, where you can buy new running shoes so that you can avoid injuries, where you can have those small investments. That it's not about overconsumption, it's about investing in your life every day to look after yourself in the long run. And I know this video is a million, bajillion, gazillion years long, but I guess my final point to it all, which is something I kind of said earlier, is that people are not speaking to Bradley in any less kind of a way that he speaks to his audience. If anything, I think that Bradley can be quite abrasive and harsh in his message, and most people in their videos have tried to be helpful, have tried to be constructive, and so that's kind of the point that I did want to end on. And I feel like this video of Bradley's is the perfect example of how he speaks to other people and of the standards and the kind of no excuses mentality he does have.
I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this, but you can no longer use the excuse of my parents didn't teach me anything about finances to keep messing up with finances. I ended up in $130,000 of student loan debt before I was 21 years old, and I had no one in my life looking out for me. I had no one in my life teaching me anything. I had to figure it out on my own because I had no other choice. At 20 years old, I took hold of my life. I took hold of my financial situation, and I said, I will do whatever it takes for this to not be my life forever. I had to learn what discipline was because I couldn't afford not to. I had to learn how to make good choices with money and live by a budget because my life literally depended on it. In the digital world that we live in, where you could literally search anything on the internet and find your answers, or having content creators like me who literally make content trying to help people how to win with money, whatever you don't understand about finances, it's right there waiting for you. You have to take action and you have to search for it. It's awful that our parents didn't teach us anything about finances, and a lot of us had to figure it out the hard way. But at the same time, you are responsible for your life. You are responsible for the life that you create for yourself. You are responsible for taking the steps to have the future that you want for yourself. And that's what I decided when I was 20 years old. I always tell people excuses do not pay the bills. So if you want to keep leaning on the crutch that you just don't know how finances work because no one taught you, 5 years from now, you're going to be stuck in the same exact situation that you've been in, and you won't be any happier. Okay, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my hike. Hope that helped.
And for me, the reason I show that video is to try and reflect back his own mentality on the things that he could improve on in his life and on the things that he can afford to improve on in his life, and of the messages that he can give to his audience now that he is no longer in survival mode. It is not about devaluing his message, but about challenging the limitations and using his own mentality to push back on when he says things like, I just wish people would understand, or I don't deserve this. And when in reality, people are using the way that he talks to other people on him and using those mentalities to challenge him to be better and to improve the message that he gives to his audience. And I guess the kind of final thing that ties into that is that apparently Bradley has kind of been going online and really just clapping back at people now. And this is definitely hearsay because I haven't seen the lives and they're not posted online, but I did want to show you guys people talking about the lives and the way that he's been talking about people in the lives and how there still feels like there's this massive disconnect in what people are actually trying to tell him.
I wasn't planning on making any Bradley videos today, but so many people have sent me screen recordings of his live that he did last night. The fact that this man is so comfortable with calling people brokies but cries on TikTok about having financial trauma. So you're cool with shaming other people that don't have as much money as you and call them brokies, but you want us to feel sympathy for you because of your trauma. Okay, that makes sense. That makes complete fucking sense. And for him to say that he wants to have a meet and greet, but he thinks he needs security, like, be so fucking for real. Like, honestly, like, the people that would actually show up to that meet and greet are people that agree with you for what you're doing. Why the fuck would you need security for that? Be so fucking for real right now. I'm sorry, yes, you have way more followers than I do. You have over 1 million followers. But I guarantee you, it's not that deep. It's not that fucking serious. It's truly not. But go ahead and continue to shame people for not having as much money as you, but then cry on other videos about how you're so misunderstood and you have financial trauma. That makes complete fucking sense.
And if what is being said about these lives is true, that is just ultimately really disappointing and really reflects from Bradley that there is like one mentality and logic and standard that gets set for everybody else. But then for him, he wants everyone to be understanding, to show him compassion, and yet he isn't going to do the same. And more importantly, when people are trying to have a constructive conversation and are actually trying to give him advice to help him improve his life and to help him do better and be a better creator and have a better message, it's all of a sudden people are being hateful and he doesn't deserve that and they're brokies. To me, it just doesn't make any sense, pennies, dimes, or dollars, or nickels, or whatever, because he is very comfortable in talking to people in a very frank way, telling them that you are responsible for the way you live and for the things you do. But yet when people ask him to be responsible and challenge him to do better, that's actually a big no. That's actually, no, don't do that. Guys, no, that's not fair. Please don't do that. Oh, here comes my dog. He's decided. Oh, have you decided that I've talked for too long? Oh my gosh, I'm so upset. I noticed on my dog's face the other day, he has grays. He's only 5. He's not allowed to be grey. But anyway, I think Saxon's telling me that it is in fact time for me to wrap it up, folks. And there were so many facets and aspects to this conversation and to why this discourse has happened and to not misrepresent what is actually happening and how it seems like, yes, initially he kind of did hear people out and he kind of did clean up a little bit better, but ultimately his takeaway is that people are just being mean and need to give him more empathy. And I don't know, I just feel like most people have been talking to Bradley in a very reasonable way. He's acting as though people are being really hurtful and mean and trying to kind of diminish the conversation that they are trying to have. And in fact, talking to him in a way that is much nicer than the way he talks to his audience a lot of the time, which is interesting to me because I'm like, you know, he's happy to yell at people for being stupid and buying things stupid and that is stupid. Then clearly he shows that that's not the way he wants to be spoken to. Because if anything, whenever I talk about people in my videos, I'm always trying to think of how would I want someone to talk about if I made a mistake? How would I want someone to talk about me if I made a mistake? How would I want someone to bring up that I did something, an action, a behavior, a decision that could have been done better, that wasn't the best decision? Like, how would I want someone to talk to me about that and to treat me because of that? And I just feel like there's, again, my final point, my final conclusion of it all is that there is this massive disconnect between how he wants to be treated, how he treats others, in his behavior in general, in what is really being talked about in this whole situation. But again, I'm so sorry I've been talking for so long. Please forgive me. Unless you like long videos, then I'm not sorry. Then just call me Demi Lovato, because I'm sorry not sorry. Anyway, please let me know your thoughts, opinions, everything in the comments down below. I would love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you stayed till the end, you are a real one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to keep up with me between my uploads, I'm on TikTok and Instagram, and I will link my vlog channel down below. And YouTube should be recommending another one of my videos on the screen right now, but don't you worry, guys, because I'm not funny there either. Bye.